Our focus the last couple days has been on President Biden here in South Asia. And when I asked a White House official why it is that President Biden was here and missing the 9/11 commemorations at the attack sites, the analogy that I was given is that 22 years after Pearl Harbor, U.S. presidents were not still going to visit Hawaii.
Oh, my gosh. That is as bad as I kept seeing it referred to as on social. Oh my gosh. That's new. That's new. That's just this afternoon. Well, actually, we've been on air. Welcome back to the program. Top of this third hour. Dana Loesch here with you. Listen, coast to coast. Find the stream as well of the nationally syndicated radio program on YouTube and Facebook. Always good discussion happening on YouTube. The simulcast. Also 347 Direct TV. It's the channel. Oh my gosh. So I saw this. So I saw, as you know, we were on break. This was picking up, like, why wasn't the president in New York City on 9/11? And someone was saying, oh, wait till you hear this horrible take. And it is absolutely as bad. You know, sometimes you see something and it's not as bad as it's advertised. Oh no, this is as bad as advertised. How tone deaf. How tone deaf. Oh my. Well, you know, the analogy that is 22 years after Pearl Harbor, presidents were still not going to visit Hawaii. Well, you probably know why, though. Maybe it makes people think of how he let 13 service members die in Afghanistan. Just wondering. Just wondering. I mean, this is... I mean, didn't he wanted to make 9/11 like a photo op last year. And then now he's what? Now he's acting like it doesn't, this is so bad. It is so bad. There's just no other way. And it looks incredibly tone deaf and disrespectful. You're pointing to something that happened 80-something years ago and trying to act like, well, you know, because they don't go there, then that, oh, no. You know why? Maybe, I think one of the reasons, too, why he probably doesn't want to be there. Didn't 9/11 families, let me pull this up from, yes, so I had this is a piece that I had. This was from August of 2021, and it was an NBC piece. And the headline is, 9/11 families to President Biden, don't come to our memorial events. 1,800 victims' relatives, first responders, and survivors are calling on Biden to refrain from attending their events over his refusal to release September 11th documents. Couple that with, remember how he called the Saudis pariahs? What did he do the night before? Literally, last night. What was he doing? Yes, I know, he was giving his weird speech about Vietnam, but he was shaking hands with the Saudi royal leader. That kind of complicates his narrative that he wanted to make Saudi Arabia a pariah. Remember that? And that he was going to go after the Saudi royal leader. Remember all of that tough talk, and then now he went with hat in hand begging for, may I please have some more oil? And then now shaking his hand and all of that. That kind of complicates it a little bit too, don't you think? Just shocking and just inexcusable. It's just, I am almost without words. I don't know. I was thinking about all of this morning, because this morning looks so much different. I mean, I would imagine it looks different, obviously, for everyone. I don't mean to, be obvious, but to me, it's so, this morning is so incredibly different than 22 years ago, because I've written about this years, before, and how my oldest son now was just 6 months old, and I was 21 years old. He was 6 months old, and he was playing in a blanket on the floor, and we were watching all of this stuff come down. I was a newlywed, and it was weird. It was weird being a young parent during that time, because everything felt uncertain, and you didn't feel secure. it was very odd being a young parent at that time. And I wrote about how I saw that there existed in this world a threat bigger than ear infections, a threat bigger than outgrowing clothes quickly, a threat bigger than anything for which I or others could have prepared. And we can only speak for our own perspectives that day. I know mine was fundamentally changed. My life path changed. My trajectory changed. My living room extended beyond the walls of my home and went to both coasts and all the borders and everything else. And sometime after I took my kids to DC and we saw the World Trade Center wreckage, and it was just weird having, my kids there, my oldest, who was born at the time, looking at the wreckage, and he was just a baby when all of it was made. And it made me think of Reagan's quote about freedom and parenthood. He'd said, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Or one day we'll spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States when men were free. See, that's what makes the United States and being an American so different. You choose it. And I loved I have a piece in there. You need to go read it over at Substack, because I have a couple of good quotes in there from some writers that I really enjoyed their words at the time too. But I don't like the fact that the president wasn't there. And I don't think that it's petty. It's not new for all of us who remember. It's not new for people like me who really was fast-tracked into politics because of this. Because it made me angry. It was you bring a child into the world, and then 6 months old before his first birthday, and then this is the stuff you're seeing on television. And then a lot of those kids that were his age went up to go and fight continually in the prolonged conflict that ensued after. It's not new for the parents of the 13 service members who lost their children, or the husbands or wives who lost their spouses, or kids who lost their parents as they were there at the Abbey Gate. In Afghanistan, the disastrous withdrawal from Kabul, all because this president wanted to own the talking point of saying he was the guy that withdrew all of the troops from Afghanistan, and directly disregarding the advice of all of the military council, saying you will create a vacuum and it will be a tragedy. And that's exactly what happened. It's not new for those people. It's not. And I will never forget, too, the number of veterans I heard from. And I have a whole piece on this that I wrote at this time after the Abbey Gate was bombed, because after that, there were a lot of veterans who were like, they were questioning what they had spent time there for. And I had written a piece saying that, you doing what you did and rooting out terrorism and just doing everything you could to prevent attacks from happening here on our U.S. soil, you allowed an entire generation, maybe the last one, to grow up knowing what security in a free country feels like. And that's a gift that nobody can give except you. And a nation is grateful. So I'm actually pretty ticked off that he wasn't there. He didn't need to go to Alaska. I think he's too damn sick and feeble. It's too soon for a lot of us who had our entire lives shaped by it. I mean, you had the governor of Florida who said that he went in and joined the military. He went in and joined the military because of this. There were a lot of people whose lives changed. And so this is one of the most tone-deaf responses I've ever heard. And this is going to get him. This is going to bite him.